this is actual National Police Week. And typically this time of year, members of the law enforcement community and their families go to DC for a very emotional week dedicated to law enforcement officers throughout the country. And we know because of the pandemic, it's not happening the way it normally does. But we also need to take time out and say thank you to our law enforcement officers. And one of those officers, Police Chief John Fitzgerald, joining us on the MegaCast. Chief, we want to say thank you for taking time to be with us.
Thanks for having me on, Ronnie.
But also thank you for your service. How long have you been in law enforcement?
Going on 35 years about.
Do you remember that first day on the job?
Actually, I do. And I couldn't have been prouder to put on my uniform and go out and do it. At a certain point in college, I realized what I wanted to do. And I guess it's kind of like when a priest gets a calling or somebody gets that calling and they know what they want to do. That was what I wanted to do. And I was going straight for that from that moment on. And I was so proud when I got my first job, my first badge, and it's been a great career for this many years.
So with that too, we know that sadly so many people, officers on the front line lose their life protecting the public. And I know that this week is really a time set aside to remember not only those that have lost their lives, but also all of those that serve. What's it like for you being a member of this brotherhood?
Once again, I'm proud. I'm honored to be entrusted with the job that we're supposed to do, and I'm always makes me think a lot. I've been down to the police memorial about 5 different times with my honor guard in Southfield when I worked for that department, and this is kind of a combination. Like for the military, they have Memorial Day and then they have Veterans Day, 2 separate things. This is kind of put together. Police Week. It's I think it was 1962. President Kennedy signed the proclamation to make May 15th Peace Officers Memorial Day, which is in honor of the officers that have passed or been killed in the line of duty, and then also naming the week that May 15th falls on as National Police Week. So that's celebrating all of us that are still here, plus the ones that have given their lives in the line of duty. And to go down to Washington, D.C. for the ceremonies and the honors and the tributes, it's amazing. And hardly a dry eye in the house down there. It's
a very somber time, but also it's the days leading up to some of the services very it's a lot of fun to be had too, because you get to meet with other members of law enforcement agencies from across the country. And I should mention as well, many people know that my father-in-law was killed in the line of duty long before I met my husband, when Woody was just a small boy. His father's name is on the memorial. So it can be a very emotional time. But can you talk a little bit, Chief, about what this week means in the middle of the civil unrest that we have been experiencing? I feel like more so over the past year, 2 years. And also kind of this, I don't want to say hatred, but distrust of our law enforcement officers. It's got to make the job so challenging.
It's some of the distrust is very disappointing. I would like to say that in our area, number one, the Keego Harbor area, then for my career in Southfield, we had great relationships with our community. And what's been going on in the city of Detroit with Chief Craig and how they've handled all I think the unrest has been kept to a minimum, with people being able to voice their, protest peacefully. And that's what is, we all need to see the protests so we know where the problems are. You have to tell us where the problems are, but to keep it peaceful. And I think our area of the country right here has been pretty well, I don't want to say behaved, but has made their voices heard, but hasn't had the destruction and the problems of other parts of the country. And to hear the complaints, it's disheartening, but it gives us something to work on, because we know in our profession, just like every profession, there are some bad apples, and we want to get those out of. If they sneak in, we want to get rid of them, because this is an honorable profession. We have a duty to do, and there's a lot of people that count on us to be the protectors but we do far more than that. We serve in many ways with citizens assists and at traffic accidents and notification when there's horrible accidents happen to families. And there's so many different things we do. And we'd like people to understand that, we're not just out here trying to ruin their day with a ticket or an arrest.
Which makes it so hard. I always feel like sometimes like firefighters and EMTs are always coming to the rescue. So they're seen as, the hero, and they don't really get the backlash that police officers do, but you really are serving in the same way, because here's what happens. If you see that speeder, you don't stop them. They blow through a stoplight and then they get in an accident and they kill someone, then you'll be blamed for not stopping them. So it really is about protecting and keeping the public safe.
Correct. Yeah. When we're in a neighborhood writing tickets because one of the neighbors has called and said, hey, they're speeding down our street and the kids are playing out here. Well, oftentimes we end up pulling over their neighbor is the one that's doing it, and they're not happy we're giving them a ticket, but it could very well be saving the life of one of those children on the street. Our firefighters, our EMTs do a great job, and we appreciate the fact that they're out there. And we understand that we play a different role that's not always as well loved as they are. So it's not a problem to us that way.
So with that, Chief, if I can ask you, what are your thoughts on the outlook for the industry of law enforcement overall? Not so much in Keego Harbor, because I do think when we're fortunate to live in a smaller community, we appreciate our law enforcement, and you can attract some talent here to some of the smaller departments. But overall, what are your thoughts or even concerns for the law enforcement future?
Well, I think we're always going to need law enforcement. I think that right now we're in a troublesome time because a lot of people that aren't in it yet, who are considering it, are looking at the problems and the venom spewed at us for the problems that few of us create. But as in Minneapolis, the one guy makes all of police look bad for across the country. People are deciding that they're going to go into another line of work and they're going to make more money at something that is not going to cause them the hassle. Now, I would never change. I've thoroughly enjoyed my serving and protecting for all these years, but we are finding less people stepping into the work. We're finding, with governmental budget cuts, we're finding benefits cut, which was always one of the safety things for a police officer or firefighters, that you went into this knowing you weren't going to make the kind of money a lot of people in private business are going to make. You won't get the bonuses, but you'll have the security after your lifetime of service to a pension or some health care. A lot of that's being taken away. So some of the other incentives, the monetary incentives, have been disappearing for our officers, or the ones that are considering going in. So I'm worried about how many people we're going to get in the pool of applicants, because when I applied to Southfield, there was 1,600 people applied for that job, and they were able to test 600 people and take the cream of the crop out of that. And now I was just talking to another chief of a pretty good sized department around here this morning, and for an opening, they maybe get 40 applications. And then when they start going through the applications for the backgrounds and you're down to 10 people that you might be able to select from. And it is cut down on, and a lot of quality people are putting in for, and a lot of people that call in that still feel this is what they should be doing. But, it's a little bit rough right now at this point in time.
And we just want to encourage anyone that is out there and you're thinking about going into law enforcement, please consider it, because it is a very noble profession. And we know there are bad eggs that make everyone look bad. It happens in journalism. We know that happens, but with that too, we need to support those that are on the front lines, because I will tell you, there's no way I could go through and survive a day on the job of what police officers see. You see the worst of humanity, but also the best of humanity, but the entire time. In today's day and age, you're videotaped the entire time you are in that uniform and on that job. And we all know that things can be taken out of context. I would be in trouble a million times a day.
That's, and that's not bad that we're being held accountable now. That people can hold us more accountable with video. Of course, there's some creative editing that goes on that may not make us look the best. And you don't see the videos. Nobody's posting the videos of when an officer does that small thing of helping a kid put his chain back on his bike, or when a officer, dives in a car accident, try and pull somebody out. That rarely makes the news. But of the bad things that happen and the shootings we get involved in and the arrests we have to make, they number in the thousands a year. If you look at our contacts with the public over all police work, we're in millions of contacts that end well and peacefully and end with citizens satisfied. Millions of contacts a year, compared to the couple thousand that have bad outcomes. And we hate to be involved in those, but the vast majority of what we do doesn't really get shown, but the people that it affects do appreciate it. And we get a lot of thank yous from people too. So we're happy to hear that.
So with that, this week being Police Week, what are your thoughts that you want to share with the community?
All our officers really appreciate it when you walk by and say thank you when we're at a table having lunch or whatever. Any little sign of appreciation of a thank you or a handshake is makes us feel much better about what we're doing out here. I constantly think about the officers that have been killed in the line of duty. As a matter of fact, during Police Week, there's been 4 officers in the country shot to death just this week during the Police Week. And I go back to my time of being at the memorial with officers from Hazel Park, and Officer Jessica Wilson was killed, and going in a procession with them with a patrol car door from Hazel Park to the memorial to celebrate her life and what she did. So that's what's on my mind this week.
Those are hard moments. We know, especially in the city of Detroit, they have lost so many officers over the past 4 or 5 years. And sadly, they now even have a car, the Camaro that they got that has become their memorial car that they put the officers' names on, and when you're a reporter, you're a police officer, I've been on both sides with ATF. We had 2 agents shot. Luckily, they both survived, but being on that back side and seeing what happens behind the scenes when you have these critical incidents, and really the support of the community matters. So we know that people out there struggle with supporting law enforcement, but I still remember something Chief Craig said once: if you want to change something, be the change. Don't
Exactly.
talk about it. If you want to change the police department, you want to change an organization, then join that organization, because you're not going to change it from the outside. You change it from the inside.
I couldn't have said it better. Chief Craig said a lot of things very well. So, and that's a great one right there. You worded it well yourself.
And with that too, Chief Craig, were you as surprised as I was of his announcement of retirement?
I was, and I've been impressed by the job he has done in Detroit, the great job he's done down there, and most of the chiefs I know, as a matter of fact, all the chiefs I talk to are impressed with the job he's done, and I hope that his successor follows a lot of lessons as his, and hopefully maybe it was even a protege of his, because it's gonna be hard to fill his boots down there with how well he's done.
It definitely is. Well, Chief Fitzgerald, we want to say thank you again for taking time to be with us. And again, thank you to the entire team over there at the Keego Harbor Police Department for taking care of us here in the community. And thank you for your time to the last minute. So we're going to let you go, and then we'll take a quick break and come back and wrap up the show.
Can I just say, I appreciate you bringing me on about Police Week, and I'll in memorial of the officers that have given their lives for the country. And thanks for having me on about that.